In everything you do, try to do it with purpose. If you're going to do something, why not do it with purpose and meaning behind it?
Hey there, everyone, and welcome into a brand new installment of the Career Competitor Podcast with me, Steve Meller. And we are brought to you by the CG Sports Network. And as always, we are the show that is seeking to light the competitive fire within you in order to succeed within your career. And we have a true competitor on the show today, one of track's fastest men around the world at the moment, Nethaneel Mitchell-Blake. In the last 5 years, he has been able to establish himself as one of the world's fastest men, as he is just a handful of men in history, in fact, who have broken both 10 seconds and 20 seconds in the 100 and 200 meters, respectively. During the last 5 years, he firstly finished off his NCAA career by winning just about anything and everything that you could win as a sprinter, before going on to the senior level at an international level and really making his standout performance shown at the World Championships in 2017, where he anchored the 4x100 meter relay for Great Britain to a World Championship gold medal. And in the past couple years, he has gone professional and been doing some fantastic things within the circuit around the world, and is currently based down in Florida. But like so many of the Olympic athletes around the world in the last 12 months, he has had to change things quite a lot, as he was derailed last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And as I got to sit down with him just recently, it was abundantly clear that this was certainly something that took him off what was potentially going to be a fantastic year. But at the same time, he has allowed himself to realize that he is set up for just incredible success as an individual, not necessarily just within relays, but certainly as an individual on behalf of the British team coming up in the Olympic Games in 2021, by making sure that he is taking care of every fine little detail, as he is now trying to make those tiny, tiny adjustments in an event, in a sport that requires total performance every single opportunity you get onto the track. So, some fantastic insight, some really cool, candid conversation where Nethaneel really does allow us to get to know him on a more personal basis. But as I said, this is all about competition, getting you guys fired up to go compete at higher levels. And this man is extremely accustomed to doing that. So, let's jump right into our interview today with my fellow countryman, Nethaneel Mitchell-Blake, and I hope you guys all enjoy.
I don't know the cutest one. I know decent, half decent looking. So
Yeah, I got my winter beard right now, so I'm hard.
Oh, you're looking grizzly. Does the wife like it?
She does, actually. Yeah, she appreciates it.
That's all that matters,
so,
man.
Yeah,
The opinion of the missus. That's what matters.
I married someone that appreciates a beard and a bald head, so I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right.
You're doing well.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am extremely excited to welcome in my fellow countryman, Nethaneel Mitchell-Blake, onto the Career Competitor.
Nethaneel.
Nethaneel.
There we go.
Nethaneel. All right. Everybody else calls you Nethaneel, man.
You know who everybody else is. I don't really respond to them.
Can I call you Nate for short? Will that work?
Yeah, you can do that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. No,
Coach Shaver used to call me that. Coach Shaver used to call me Nate.
I was going to say, yeah, I've heard.
He was the first person to call me Nate, and I was just.
Oh, I've heard Benny call you that too. So yeah, but already, listen, man. Already people know we have a little bit of a background. I was very fortunate to actually, and we didn't know each other at the time, but I was following your career while I was coaching at LSU, and you were doing damage against the rest of the NCAA, especially back in 2016 when you were just tearing things up and doing you, and then we actually got to meet one another when you made this outcry to the world that is Twitter, asking if you could find someone to teach you how to swim. You said, I got to learn how to swim, and had some of these bad hamstrings and stuff like that, needed to loosen up. And I came to the rescue, so to speak, and we got to work. And you know what's funny is that I wasn't planning on starting here, but let's start here because for me, when I work with athletes in my domain that don't come from a swimming background, I love
Yeah.
it because you're such a competitor and you're so used to being incredibly good at what you do that when you come into this domain that you're not any of that. You're suddenly now wanting to be competitive, wanting to be aggressive, but you're having to pull yourself back because you don't know necessarily what point A and point B and point C looks like. So, from that standpoint, when there I was teaching you how to swim back in 2017, what goes through your mind as someone who's elite at what you do in one area that suddenly finds himself, and again, sink or swim, let's just use the metaphor, in that domain going, what in the world is going on?
As you said, we're naturally competitive beings, so it's a weird place to be in, but I understood that I didn't know how to swim. There's no if, no buts, no maybes about it. It's not like you can tread a fine line. It's not like running where you can run, but you may not be able to run very well. Swimming is either you can or you can't, and I went to swimming lessons when I was younger, but then there's this fear of black people and water. And I don't know where it came from, but I lived in Jamaica for like 5 years too. And that's an island, for crying out loud. And I just never really got comfortable in the water. And I kind of just scared myself out of it more than anything. And I was just thought to myself, I have to learn how to do this, It's going to help me more than anything. And I know it's not rocket science. Muscle memory will kick in eventually. Yeah. So it was a bit frustrating at first, just because, as you said, like I'm used to just getting things quickly and doing well at certain things, especially in the athletic arena, but where, that's my bread and butter. Yeah, but I just had to humble myself, and be patient. And just...
Well, it only took about 2 lessons, man. It only took about 2 lessons, and you had a feel for it, and that was and I knew that I had a feel that the muscle memory component of you being an elite athlete would eventually just kick in. And sometimes it takes a little longer than 2 lessons, but you had things moving in with some decent momentum after just a couple of sessions. And but in terms of what you've done and what you've been a part of most prestigiously, the 4x1 in 2017, that took the Americans by surprise, let's say, and did your thing, especially with you on the last leg. For me as a Britishman that's been out of the UK for almost 2 decades at this point, I'm never gone long enough for me to not appreciate seeing the Brits get one over the Americans on the track. So that was fun for me to see. And here we are now, man, a year after what we were supposed to be the Olympics, right? How's the last 7 or 8 months been for you? Let's start there. How's training been? You're down in Florida now training. What have you had to do in the past 12 months to adapt to all this chaos going on?
Just take extra precaution about everything. I actually had COVID. So that took me down. Like literally before I was supposed to go overseas, I was supposed to go to... It was Doha, Italy, and Czech Republic. And I had taken a test on the Tuesday. The results came back the Friday, and I was supposed to fly out Friday too. And lo and behold, Thursday, I started to feel kind of groggy. Had a slight temperature. Friday, I woke up feeling kind of fatigued. And I called the physical therapist who had taken the COVID test. And I was like, have you got my results back yet? And she was like, yeah, I'm sorry to say you're positive. And I wasn't shocked because I didn't feel too well, Yeah. But thank God I got over it. And ever since then, I literally taken it upon myself to get tested every week, just because you don't know how this thing's going to attack you. And I understand that it's bigger than me, because it's not so much about me. Like I recovered. I'm part of a few who are able to do that, because kid you not, since the year started, 2 loved ones of mine have passed away from it since 2021. That's my great uncle and a former coach of mine have passed away. And so when you hear that type of stuff, man, you just say, nah, I just gotta do my due diligence and just be as safe as I can, like. And as far as training is concerned, we're doing the best we can collectively. Like we all have to get mandatory tested, and we train a hospital. Our gym is connected to a hospital, so we have to be safe again, man. It's not been easy. It's not been easy. At one point, we were locked out of the gym because that was closed down. So we were literally lifting weights and the track was locked down. So we're lifting weights in a park, just trying to supplement as much as we can, you know. You just had to make do with the resources that you have. So as you said, it hasn't been easy, but what makes it easier is the fact that there's a group of us and we all have the same mission and we all go through the same hardship and we just kind of see the good with the bad and just get through it.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, when you and I actually got to know one another, you were just about to leave Baton Rouge and head down. Yeah. And you know, I remember you saying then, you know, the excitement that you had about being around people that communal had that desire to go and advance their careers at a really high level. In some cases, probably just maintain their careers at the highest level that they were already at. And I think that, you know, allows us to kind of transition into the specifically the competitor that you are, because when you're going from being, let's just say what it was, the best of the best where you were here in Baton Rouge, and then suddenly being around people that I can only assume have almost a humbling impact on one another in terms of like on any given day, anybody can be the best at what they do. As you, the competitor, what did that do immediately back in 2017, 2018 when you made that move to sort of elevate, I guess, the consistency in you as a competitor day to day?
That's a good point you made there. So when I first got here, I'm going to be brutally honest, I thought that things would just click. I'd been in a system in Baton Rouge where Coach Shaver, I'd been under Coach Shaver's stewardship for 5 years. So I got to learn the program. I had my breaking period. And when you're younger and you don't have the contractual demands of performances, obviously you want to perform well, but now money's involved, you know. This is my livelihood. It's taken up a whole nother notch.
Sure.
So it was much easier to kind of have the breaking period then, but now I'm a professional. There's no breaking period. You have demands to make, you know. So I got into the program and I just thought everything would click. I was like, everyone runs fast here. All I got to do is do the program and it will click. And that wasn't the case. So that was also humbling too, because it was like, I would like just do the workouts, not at a bare minimum per se, but for example, you coach as well. So let's say you guys, I might be totally off here, but you got to do 10 lengths in 10 minutes, right? Well, that's a terrible time, but just you get where I'm coming from, right? Let's say 10 lengths in 4 minutes, right?
Right.
You can do it in the 4 minutes or you can do it in 3.5, you know? So I was doing it in the 10 thinking that I'm doing the workout, and it wasn't working like that, man. Like when I came and I got injured, and that set me back. And once you get injured, say you're out for 4 weeks, it's going to take you another 8 weeks to get back where you were because you missed 4 weeks. So you got to get back 4 weeks, another 4 weeks to get back where you were. So, and that's at that time, that's 3 months. You know, like you don't really have time to play around like that. So the first year was really, really hard, just on me mentally, because I'm always used to being the alpha male in my setting, you know. As you said, like at LSU, I was pretty dominant in the NCAA on a whole. I felt like nobody could mess with me. And that kind of touched my confidence, you know. I went through a little down phase. I was like, what's going on here, man? I'm kind of confused right now. Like, it's not supposed to happen, you know?
Right.
But it just brought me back to reality, humbled me. And then the next year I was in the group, I had a more of a bullish approach because I said, okay, then I know the workout works. People run fast here, but it's about how you have to pick and choose when to, you know, say turn it up a notch. I have to be a bit more in control because coach is going to give you the work and he's not going to steer you wrong. Great coach. His track record speaks for itself. One of the most decorated coaches in athletics history. So he's like, you have to figure out what works for you, not what, although you're given the blueprint, you still have to find your creases, your crannies and how to attack it and get better, you know? So that's when I delved into myself a lot more and I had to take it up a notch because although it didn't map out like I wanted it to, I still felt like I made progress. And then obviously Olympics getting cancelled, which was pretty heartbreaking, to be honest. Well, postponed. It's pretty heartbreaking, but training was going phenomenally well. And that was just, I guess, validation of the sacrifices I'd made going forward. So this year, there's no excuses as to why I shouldn't be on top, you know, just going through that, taking a step back and realizing that, all right, then you just got to be a bit more aggressive, remain humble, and go again.
Love it. Love it. And I think, so many great points there. I mean, for listening to you talk, though, I think it sounds as though you had to slow down in order to, in your case, obviously, with what you do, to speed up. And I think that is, for anyone listening, whatever walk of life you're in, it's such a valid point. When you get to a new level, and in your case, when you get to the highest level, you're on the brink, you're at the pinnacle of what it is all of your counterparts are trying to do at the best of their ability around the world. When you're at that point, you would assume, okay, I'm here now, like this is it. When really, right as you arrive at that level, you actually need to just say, hold on 1 second, like just slow down, look, analyze the blueprint as you said, and then find those opportunities to sort of manipulate the way in which you approach things from that point. And I think that is just incredible insight, and especially with the adversity of last year, and like you said, being right where you wanted to be physically, probably mentally, ready to attack, ready to go, and then having everything just brought to a standstill. But now being able to pivot and reset and go again. What has the last, let's say the last 3 months now, as you finished 2020 and you saw yourself coming around the bend into 2021, from a sense of being able to compete, where's the fire now? Like, are you starting to sense that, hey, things are starting to come back to normal, that there is light at the end of the tunnel? Now is my time, so to speak.
Well, that's still in limbo,
Yeah.
Me individually, I don't have any control over that as far as what happens. But all I know that I have to best prepare myself for whatever may happen. At the end of the day, running is my job, and I want to run this year more than ever. I'm gonna be 27 this year, so I'm reaching that kind of physical prime of an athlete, which they say is what, 25 to 30. So I've been robbed of a year already. I'm not getting any younger. I'm only getting stronger, I believe. I keep learning. And that's for the last 3 months. The biggest takeaway from me is that now I'm in America. I've been away from my family for the best part of 8 years, as they all reside in England. That I'm not doing this for fun. I make too many sacrifices to go out there and be mediocre. I've been robbed of seeing my family for a very long time now. I was unable to attend my grandma's funeral, had to go on that via Zoom. My grandfather's funeral had to go on that via Zoom because they passed away, unrelated to COVID, but in the year that COVID kind of took over the world. So it's like, that's really my fire, to know that I'm sacrificing so much. The least I can give myself is a fair chance at being great. That's all I deserve. You know what I'm saying? Like, the outcome is the outcome, but I know that I have to give it my all. Just little things, like I'm here just, drinking water, like just little things, go and sleep early.
Oh, yeah.
Hard thing too about our sport is the fact that the summer is where most people can have fun. We can't do that because that's the peak of our sport.
Absolutely.
So it's like not being able to socialize as much and whatnot. It's not necessarily hard, but sometimes you're like, man, I wish I could have done this, But at the end of the day, you have to remember that the long-term goal, I have to maximize my potential while as I can, because I've been blessed with a talent. And I feel like it's humbling to say, but at times I've taken it for granted, Like when you're forced to reflect on what's going on right now and the things that you're not able to do, it's like, man, just damn it, just give it your all. Just give it your all, because at the end of the day, I'll seek peace of mind that even if I don't get the results that I may want, I know that I've done all I could possibly do, Like life is right now about sacrifices, and I feel like I've come too far and there's so much more to achieve, that why not just, commit to the cause 110% and see how far you can really go with this. Because I kind of have that mindset every year, because there's always more to achieve, I haven't reached the pinnacle. Yeah, I've had success, but there's so much more to do. And as you said, like, I'm blessed to train with a group that has some of the fastest people in the world, like literally some of the fastest people, right? Olympic champions, world champions, you name it, they're in this group. So I know the standard. I train with them daily, So Go out there. Not many people are blessed to be around this greatness. So just go out there and don't take it for granted, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think your sport, your sport is all about fractions and percentages of percentages, just everything is so minute. The details all add up. And I think people hear that and they think there's a cliche component, but we're talking about the difference between a guy's forehead and a guy's neck at times when you guys are all crossing the line and making sure that your forehead's getting there, at a time when the guy next to you's not necessarily right there at that time. And you're trying to hit that stride perfectly as you cross the finish line so that all your momentum is hitting at the same time. We're trying to cover 10 meters on average, about 10 meters every 1 second. That's pretty much what we're trying to do here over the course of a 100 or a 200. And I think for me personally, having grown up as just a fan, no running ability whatsoever, that's why I was in the water, but as someone who was just a fan of seeing guys find ways to take hundredths of a second off one performance to the next performance and think, holy shit, like how do you find that 1/100th to move from that run that maybe you were just satisfied with to that run that you were ecstatic about because it was that 1/100th or it was those couple of 100ths that made the biggest impact. And I think for you, hearing you talk about all of these tiny details from what you put into your body to the way in which you rest, to the way in which you train, to the environment within which you train, those are those fractions. Those are those percentages of percentages that are going to make all the difference in the grand scheme of things. And I think for you now, in terms of a guy that probably goes from one milestone to the next, from one goal to the next, what's that process looking like for you at this point in time in terms of what's your comfort level right now with where you are necessarily in your career, but at the same time, what's the intentions now over the next few months heading into this games?
That's the thing, that I can't get comfortable because there's always more to achieve. This sport, you can never be content. Just like any avenue in life, you always want more for yourself. It's the nature of the beast. Like, you always want more. And I feel like that's what drives me. At times when I'm exasperated, when I'm tired or just fatigued beyond belief, I just got to tell myself, once my body's able to do it, I got to keep going because it's going to hurt one way or the other. And when you train with a great group of individuals, it's just, you just push each other. The energies, the levels are just so high. As I said, we've got some phenomenal athletes around me, and I feel like that's one of the greatest pluses of being where I'm at right now. But I'm nowhere near my pinnacle. There's more to achieve. I haven't been dominant, so it's just like that's what keeps me going. The knowing that I can get better, that I haven't reached my full potential, and to be the best, honestly. Like, I remember World 2019, we came second in a relay. I didn't run the individual. And the commentator said, "Why are you upset?" And I had to kind of change my attitude. And I was like, I'm not upset. It's just that, when you've experienced getting first place, it was such a euphoric feeling that when you get second, it's almost anticlimactic. And it's not till later on, but you're able to reflect and be like, whoa, second fastest team in the world, European record, British record. It's not too bad, But for that split instance, like, you want to be the best, and it's just like, that's what drives me, trying to be the best, because I've raced the best throughout my life. And I feel like I have untapped potential that I just need to bring out of myself. But that's due to consistency and hard work and just mental tenacity, really, resilience, because this life is about the survival of the fittest. And it's about remaining healthy and just trying to get better each day. I go to sleep excited to wake up, to go to training, to know that I'm gonna get better. Like, I kind of pre-process how I'm attack training now and what I can particularly work on to get better. What can I try and correct? Got some great mentors in my corner, former athletes, and I'll just, try and pick their brains because they've done it all before at the top level. So I'm like, what can I take from their repertoire into mine to try, get better, try get that little advantage? Because at the end of the day, it's all about metrics. And you said the margins are so minute. I implore everyone to get a stopwatch right now, whether it's their phone, a stop clock, or watch, or whatever is the case, and just stop and start it. And that could be the difference between first and last place.
Oh yeah.
Literally,
Hmm.
literally. Like, and nobody remembers who came last. People remember who wins. People know one, maybe two people in sport, Usain Bolt and somebody else, if it's a
Yeah.
fellow countryman,
Yeah.
and the reason why I know Bolt because he was so dominant, and that's unheard of,
Mm.
But literally start and stop your phone right now, clock whatever it may be, and that could be the difference between first and last place. That
Mm.
could be the difference between 200,000 and 20,000.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a livelihood at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a big deal, man. As I said, last 3 months, just knuckling down, man. Not being
Mm.
with the family for Christmas, zooming them when they're having dinner, I'm having lunch. It's just like, all right, yeah,
Yeah. It's
it's
hard.
bigger than me. It's
It's
bigger
hard.
than me. I just
Yeah.
gotta just go for it now.
Mm. Yeah. No, I hear all of that, and I definitely appreciate the candidness as well, just in terms of what you've gone through on a personal level. And I think, this is something I've always been interested to ask guys like you that come from the UK, as I did, because the one thing, you can love them or hate them for it, but over here in the US, there is a winners first mindset. You want to win, and winners are celebrated, and very few runners up are. And coming from where we come from, Olympic medalists are celebrated, silver medalists, bronze medalists, people that were, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, for their entire career are celebrated in our country. And I think for you, talking about the way you're talking about that 4x1 between 2017 and 2019, that's not very British of you to think that way. And
Yeah,
I say that it's very
I
tongue
got
in cheek.
criticized for it. I got
Yeah, no,
criticized. I got
but that
criticized for
here's
it.
and that's but that for me personally, man, like I actually I'm saying this now almost on a almost unaware, but I feel like I even saw the interview. I don't know why, because when you started telling me that story, I feel like I actually saw the interview. Maybe I was in the UK at the time or something like that. I don't know. But there is this way of just championing people that aren't necessarily champions, and I think that is a very dangerous mindset for a guy like you, who's in an environment where we are working on these fractions and on these details, and it's also a huge plus for you to then take the initiative as you have and be where you are, training where you are, in order to sort of remain true to clearly who you want to be. You want to be the best.
Yeah.
You aren't comfortable being runner up. And I don't necessarily think I have a question here, but it's more just like highlighting and saying like you to become a product of what you want to be, you've removed yourself from a system and from an environment that is going to prevent you potentially from being exactly that. Do you not think?
I feel like the culture has kind of shifted.
Mm.
As far as the mindset of British athletes, because we are now at such a high level where we're able to compete with the best.
Mm.
I feel like we've garnered some respect on the international stage now as true competitors, not just as a relay, but as individual athletes,
Mm.
as we bowl some of the best talent. So there's been a kind of a culture shift with my fellow peers, and we all, when we talk, we all believe that we can do something, individually.
Mm-hmm.
And although that we're competing against each other, we still have that respect for one another. And there's no malice when I say to a guy, yo, bro, I'm going for it today. I'm out to bust heads today. He might be in the same race. He's like, yeah, me too. Like at the end of the day, there's only one winner.
Yeah.
And with reference to coming second, it's just as you said, you want to be the best. So at that moment, at a split second in time, everyone reacts differently. But I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve, and I can't pretend to be overexcited about coming second, especially in a relay. That's four people.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, if we were to talk about my quote unquote track legacy, I'm a relay guy and I don't want that beside my name.
Mm.
No, not in any capacity. Do I love running it? Yes. But I'm an individual athlete first, and now it's about time I started getting individual medals. I got second at Europeans in 2018. Second by a long way too, because it was probably about 2/10 of a second. So it wasn't like it was close. Second and third were close, but first and second weren't close. And I was pretty pissed off, to be honest with you. I was like, man, I kind of fucked up, man. And the commentator once again was like, oh, Nethaneel doesn't seem happy. And I'm just like, well, to be honest, I went into the race to win. I didn't win. And I got beat pretty bad, you know. It wasn't like it was close.
Yeah.
The guy who won was on one that year. And it's not till after the fact you're able to, you know, reflect and be like, all right, you got a medal. You got an international medal. It's one of your fastest times on the international stage too. So, you know, don't be despondent about that. But right there and then, you just want to be the best, man. And I feel that's what keeps pushing me, because anytime I believe I get content on just making a final or just getting a medal, like at the end, I feel like in all ventures, yourself included, we all want to be the best. We all reach for the highest heights. And if we fall short of that, if we fall short and become second, that's not a bad place to be. But if your pinnacle, if you limit your mind to just making a final and only 8 people make it, you come 9th, or you limit yourself to come in top 6 and then you come 7th, like you're kind of just selling yourself short. I understand that my goals may at times seem unrealistic, but I will foolishly achieve or aspire to be the best in every avenue. And if I fall short of that, as long as I know my mindset was in the right place, you know, to be the best, like there's only be one person who gets the gold, you know, so why not me? Like I said, like it may seem outlandish, the odds may always be stacked against me, or they might be in my favor, but that's where you got to block the outside noise and just kind of be your own motivator. I'm my own biggest critic, you know. You can write whatever you want, people can say whatever they want, it doesn't really faze me, you know. I just got to believe in the internal voice in my head that I want to be the best, and I have to keep striving for it. And that's what keeps me going every day.
Love it. And you and I share that quality of being our own biggest critic. And I think for me as a coach, it allows me to actually be a pretty good coach, because I think my athletes a lot of the time, you know, they'll, you know, and you're an athlete, you have those days where coach is really riding you and you think, man, who put a stick up his butt, you know, whatever it is today. And it's for me personally, it's always about seeing someone not on that given day pushing themselves to try and realize their potential. That's what irritates me more than anything, is that waste of time. And I think listening to you talk about yourself, you're clearly training every day, like you said, going to bed excited about waking up the next day, very aware of whether or not you're bringing your best to the table each and every day. And I think that's everything that we're about, man, on this show, bringing that competitive fire out of people and understanding that there's a way of being a competitor in each and every thing that you do each and every day. In terms of the well, I wasn't going to mention this, but in terms of just football teams, how do you survive being an Arsenal fan these days?
Do you know what? I've kind of learned to get emotionally detached from them, because now, honestly, it was actually giving me anxiety, man. It was really bad for my health at one point. It wasn't fun. Like Arsenal's outcome would dictate my whole weekend, and I was like, I have to find a way to allow them to get less control over my emotions. So opposed to waking up every day and reading news articles while stretching, I just kind of tried to give myself a little bit more distance relationship with them. But as soon as they get 2 wins in the trot, I get sucked right back in, man. So it's a hard one, man. It's a hard one.
You can't see my camera, but I do have my picture of the Kop behind me. So my
you're
time
a Liverpool fan.
My time as a Liverpool fan at the moment is good. I had to wait 30 years to appreciate it.
You
so
guys are doing amazing right now, man. You guys are doing amazing stuff right now. But back to your point, I wanna say something. Just in everything you do, try to do it with purpose. If you're gonna do something, why not do it with purpose and meaning behind it? Because we can just go through life and just wallow through and, you know, just be present. But I feel like I go to training now with a greater purpose, and I feel that's relatable to anything in life. Try to do it with purpose, try to do it with an extra meaning and trying to achieve something from it. Because we can all do stuff. We can go to work 9 to 5. You know, we may not be happy in what we do, but do it with purpose and just seek new ways to motivate yourself, set yourself small targets to, you know, and there's nothing with rewarding yourself too. I feel like when I first came here, I was so hard on myself. I was just so regimented. I wasn't having fun. I was just like job, 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 job. And then I kind of relaxed now. I was like, let me have a balance now. You know, it's okay to eat out. It's okay to buy yourself something here. Nothing lavish, but it's just, you know what I'm saying? Incentivize doing something, you know? So, but just do it with purpose, man, and try to find the fun in it. Because right now it's hard times for everybody. So where you can, you know, make yourself smile and make someone else smile, it's more important right now than ever.
Love it. And before I let you go, man, you know, I follow you on all your social media platforms and stuff like that. Let everyone know where they can find out more about you, man.
On Instagram, it's Nethaneel. I was blessed enough to get my first name as my handle. That's Nethaneel. And on Twitter, it's Nethaneel, spelled Nethaneel MB. Yeah, man. That's how you can find me. And then Facebook is just my name. But yeah.
Good deal, man. Well, listen, I'm so appreciative of your time. I really am. I'm so glad we were able to do this. And I knew I'd be able to pull a few just nuggets of great information from you, and you were able to deliver that and some. So thanks again, man, for your time. You know, you've got all my best behind you, and excited to see you tearing it up in 2021 Olympic Games this year, man. All right.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. I try to go swimming now at least once a week.
Good man. Proud of you, man.
That's actually is tiring, man. My traps, because we do upper body on Tuesday and I go swimming on a Wednesday. So it's like I just get fatigued. I'm literally midway through in length and I'm like, man, I'm tired.
It's supposed to be recovery, man. It's supposed to be recovery.
Yeah. But I try to get it. It's helping my breathing, regulating my breathing. It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
So just don't forget to give me that shout out when you're top of the podium then.
I got you. This is all down to my swimming coach, Steve. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here.
Oh, man. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man. Have a great night.
Really great getting to speak with Nethaneel there and just hear so much about the fantastic stuff that he has to look forward to coming up in 2021 and the ways in which he will certainly be executing his process in order to compete at the absolute highest level. One massive takeaway there, guys, do it with purpose. So if you're listening to this and you've got some big events, some big challenges coming up, or maybe you have the opportunity to influence a few other people in a situation such as that, really encourage yourself to find a way to do things with as much purpose every step of the way. And with that being said, I would love to hear what you thought of the episode by reaching out to me either through LinkedIn. You can just search for my name, Steve Meller. Obviously, you can also connect with me through Instagram by following us at Korea_competitor. And hey, if you're listening to the show at the moment, be sure just to share. Let everybody know you're listening, how much you enjoyed it. And at the same time, guys, I look forward to certainly speaking with you all again very soon. Bye for now.